Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be back home after a decent road trip where we went 1-1, 2 winnable games. Unfortunately, we started to act like we really cared in the last 5 minutes of the second game against St. Louis. But the first game in the first half against St. Louis, we weren't very good. We still have a lot of issues that we're trying to solve. I'm not satisfied with our starting lineup. I'm not satisfied with our rotation. Well, I shouldn't say that. We don't have a rotation. We turn the ball over too much. We got to do a better job of covering for each other on defense. But there are about 7 different areas that we need to address, and we're trying to take it one at a time. Every practice with a point of emphasis on some particular part of our game. But I'm not pleased with our team after 5 games. We have a long way to go. It's a long season. We're starting to tweak and tinker with some situations and rotations. In the last 5 minutes of the last game, I played Shannon Hill at center because of the lack of production we've gotten from that position overall. But it's a long season. We have a long ways to go. We got to get better in practice today. We had a below average practice on yesterday. Hopefully we'll have a better one today and get ready to have a much improved performance against Charleston Southern.
Thank you, Coach. Start with questions. We'll start on the right with Charlie.
Hey, Coach. We saw Braxton join the starting lineup in the last game in Vegas. Just wondering what the decision was behind that and how you thought he played there.
Well, Charlie, coming into the season, I wanted him to really prove that he was a starter. And, the plan was let him prove it. Probably needs to be humbled a little bit because sometimes you get some of these players coming in, not necessarily him, but every practice over the last 6 weeks, he's been getting after it. So I thought about doing it around or after the 5th game, but it was time, and I'm glad we did it because we needed every bit of his production early in the game and especially late in the game. Braxton, we've been on Braxton since day one, since I got the job. So, we know what he's built of, what he's made of. We love his character. And, it's just a matter of when we were going to, get him in the starting lineup. But he's in there now, and hopefully he'll continue to play well on both ends of the floor because we can move him around a lot of different positions, some point forward, stretch 4, small forward. He's all over the place.
From that side, we'll go to Cecil.
What were the advantages you saw from the small lineup, and how much can you afford to have both Jimmy and Dante off the floor in those situations?
Well, the advantages were we were trying to spread the floor. We were having trouble scoring against the zone. So having Shannon at 5, another 3-point shooting threat. He made one at the end of the game finally to give us a lift there. But when you have 5 3-point shooters on the floor, it gives us an opportunity to open up the lane a little bit more, not be so predictable on offense.
Go back over the right side with Mark.
Ask what you thought the benefits of playing in that tournament were, and what did you think the team got out of it?
It was good for us to bond a little bit on the road. We're still trying to improve our team chemistry. It's definitely not where last year's chemistry was, and that's what happens sometimes when you get 12 guys and all 12 guys think they should be playing 40 minutes. So, all of these guys played and started in high school, so now it's about accepting your role and being efficient in your minutes and not making an excuse of playing the blame game when you're not playing 40 minutes. So hopefully from a chemistry standpoint, we were able to spend more time together. Guys start to learn more about each other when you're on the road, and it was a good bonding experience for us.
Left side, go to Ryan.
Knowing your efforts to promote the program, along those same lines, what did you see the benefit of playing a tournament that wasn't on television and was out in Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, we would have been on television had we made it to the championship game, all right? So we didn't know we were going to be on the YouTube station for 2 games in a row, all right? That I actually wanted to turn back to like a, that dial, when you used to dial your telephone and you didn't have call waiting and you didn't have, all of the cable channels. That's what I felt like by us not really playing on TV. But, we didn't have much of a choice in terms of when we were trying to schedule games for that time of the year when I first got here. So obviously we played in the tournament in Orlando last year, which was already on the schedule. But when we looked at it, we didn't have many options. But I don't think you'll see that happening moving forward again. We have our schedule pretty much done for around Thanksgiving for next year, and it's going to be a really good situation for us. We won't be on the YouTube channel.
Let's go back to the right side over to Alex.
Obviously, playing Shannon at the 5, you clearly didn't get to see what you wanted to see from your center position players. So what has been the biggest, I don't want to say disappointment, but just critique you can make about that position in general?
The position, like all of our positions, are divided into 5 40-minute increments. And if you play 18 minutes, then we average your production over a 40-minute basis. So again, that same word of efficiency, effort, consistent energy, that's what we're looking for. And if you're not rebounding at a high enough rate, then it's a problem. If you're not blocking enough shots, it's a problem. So, between Dante and Jimmy and Bola, and obviously we didn't play Bola in the second game, we need maximum production in whatever minutes that they're getting. Finishing layups, it's amazing how many layups we're missing. When we have certain plays to get a wide open layup, we have to finish our layups and dunks. We're not asking our guys to shoot 95% from the free throw line, right? But we're asking them to make a higher percentage of their layups and finishing in the paint and block more shots and get more rebounds and do a good job in their pick and roll defense. So that's why we had to go to a smaller lineup. We weren't getting what we needed to get, and fortunately, we moved Shannon there, and we were able to switch some pick and rolls and run our opponents off the three-point line. Because early in the season, especially after those first 2 or 3 games, teams were shooting 40-something% on us from behind the three-point line, and it's kind of the usual suspects involved in that situation, and I haven't been doing a good enough job of substituting and getting the right lineups in the game.
Let's go front right, Dwayne.
Just had 2 things. First, Brandon Austin, what's an update on him as far as what?
Brandon Austin is 100% healthy and practicing hard, and that's where we are.
Okay. And just to follow up, your assist to turnover ratio is probably even. It's like 1-to-1.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? Do you feel like it's just guys not getting the offense, or is it just a matter of not that chemistry thing you're talking about?
Well, I just think it's mainly being careless with the basketball. We have a lot of guys just not being strong with the ball, 2-hand catches, getting on the correct pivot foot, making sure our spacing is correct when we're on offense. We just got to take better care of the ball. We have to value the basketball. And I've been saying that all year. And because we have more ball handlers, those ball handlers, when they have the ball, have to make sure that they get the ball on time, on target to their teammates. Don't make any assumptions. The easiest thing that I tell our players, and it's something that my 84-year-old coach told me when I was playing basketball: throw the ball to the open man. Now, that's some real rocket science. Don't throw the ball to who you think is open. Throw the ball to who you see is open. Okay? Big difference. So if the guy that you think is open is not open, throw the ball to the guy that's standing there open. If we do that, boy, we're going to be a much better team.
Let's do 2 more questions for Coach, starting right, Tyler.
Dazon, before you got here, mentioned that he thought the team should be 5-0 at this point, I guess. Do you think the tournament served as a sort of wake-up call for the team? And if not, do you see one coming?
You remember, I know this is a football room, right?
That's right.
So you remember Bill Parcells? He said, "You are what your record says you are." That shoulda, coulda, woulda. We're 3-2, and that's where we are. And we're 3-2 because we make a lot of 3-2 and 2 and 3 mistakes. And they're repetitive, and they're consistent, and they're consistent patterns. So until we, what about if we do a good job of not getting in the bonus so early on defense? We commit normally 3 or 4 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game. That puts us in the bind. If we throw the ball to the open man, make our wide open 3-point shots with confidence. So I think we are what our record says we are. And over the next 5 games, because I evaluate the season in 5-game increments, especially this team, maybe sometime in 3-game increments. We just have to do a better job of being more consistent. You had a B question? B clause to that question? Okay.
Last question will be over to Ken on the left.
At the outset, you said you had a list of about 7 things to really get turned around. How important is really patient practice? Is that a one item at a time thing, can you get to diminishing returns when you try and change them all at once?
Well, first of all, I think in terms of your question, if I wanted to be impatient, college is not the place to coach. This is all about patience. But at the same time, your patience at some point has to, get to an accountability model in terms of when are we going to graduate from some of the classes that we haven't passed. So if we consistently turn the ball over in practice, shoot-arounds, and games, or not switch in a certain situation, at some point, even though they're young guys, there has to be some sort of accountability. If the same guy on defense, Reuben Foster, misses the same tackles in practice, in walkthrough, in games, you think he's going to play every down? Probably not, right? So I just think there needs to be patience, but at the same time, coaching our guys in the responsibility. And, that's where we are. If you look at, I know a lot of you follow me on Twitter. Look at what I tweeted of what we practiced on yesterday. That'll give you an idea of some of the areas we have to practice in and have to get better if we're going to end up, going to that next level as a team. And this team, I don't have any unrealistic expectations. I never told you guys they were a Final Four team, but there is a level of taking that next step to becoming a much better basketball team. And it's not too early in the season to necessarily demand it, but we should be graduating in some areas where we've consistently had some average performances.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.